ask for today be beneficial to all of us.
آمين.
Bismillah in
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Atina. إن أعطيناك الكوثر فارغب وانحر إن شانئك هو
إنك هو الأبتر.
آمين.
آمين.
Inshallah, make we allow our facilitator to start the program. Bismillah, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Assalamu
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
ورحمة الله وبركاته.
So we'll continue from where we stopped yesterday. There is something I noticed after our yesterday discussion. I had a private discussion with one or two people. Actually, they had some simple problems that they asked me to assist, which I did. But what I observed there is, not everybody is following up with what we were doing. I just want to appeal that don't be shy. If you have any reason to, not to move forward, maybe you are not getting what is being discussed, you can ask questions. If you are not getting what is being discussed, or if you cannot move as fast as we have moved, you can ask us, not getting to this point, and this is the error I'm getting, what could be responsible? The advantage of it is that, that question that you are asking, it might be that you are not the only person who is having that problem. Somebody else might learn from it. Even somebody else who has done his own might see that you are trying to do something else, and they might equally learn at least at least the worst case scenario, might learn how not to do things from somebody else's mistake. So let us all participate. The beginning is actually the difficult one. Once we all get to a point whereby we can self-navigate, can navigate online, solve look for solutions to our problem, and possibly solve our problem ourselves, then we are fine. Every developer, even the ones that are very known in the industry today, that are very good, everybody sees Google. Myself, I use Google a lot. I use Stack Overflow a lot. These are all development sites, development app sites, that when you have problem, you ask first, I'm having this problem, you type your question there. The chance is that somebody else has resolved it, and that person has put the answer somewhere on the internet, and most likely you are going to find your answer in Stack Overflow. So there's no shame in development work. We collaborate a lot. Nobody knows it all. We ask ourselves questions. So don't think, just because you are just starting and there are things that you don't understand, that, somebody will think maybe you are not catching up on time and stuff like that. There's nothing like that. So ask questions, no matter how ridiculous you think this, somebody is going to learn from it, including myself. So Bismillah, let's start today again. Yesterday we talked about keywords in C#. We talked about variables and data types. And today we will continue the same thing. Let me open sorry, just a second. Okay. So we were talking about typecasting before we stopped yesterday. Data types and typecasting, they are the name of the site. Which site? If you can hear me, you ask for the name of the site. Then which site? So that I can tell you the name of this. Okay, the one I just talked about, Stack Overflow. Okay, let me show you how it works. I guess you can see my browser. You can see my browser, right?
Yes, sir. We can see your browser.
Yes, sir.
Let me just say okay. Let me just go to google.com, for instance. Is it my internet that's too slow? Okay, now I'm in Google. So let's assume that I have a problem. I don't know how to declare a variable. So let me say I'm looking for the best data type for money. I don't know. I want to declare a variable that I want to use to store money. I'm looking for the best data type in C# for money. I'm going to ask Google, and Google will point me to where I can get it. I can just say the best data type for money, C#. I guess you can see me, you can see my Google. You see what I'm typing? You see I have suggestions. I just press enter.
Yes, sir. We can see it.
Yes.
So, do you see the number one result?
Yes, sir.
Do you see the number one
Yes,
result?
sir. Yes, sir.
StackOverflow.com.
Where does it point to?
StackOverflow.com.
Exactly. So, I can just open it in another tab, or I can just try to click and open it directly. So it takes me to StackOverflow.com, and what is the best type of the best data type to use for money in C# or in C or whatever. So it's going to show me you can see what somebody asked the question. What is the best data type to use for money in C#? And people are answering. You can use decimal. People are answering. People are writing articles about it. They are responding to the person's question. They are pointing into the library, another URL where you can go and read up. So most of us, when we have problems, in our code, and we don't know how to solve the problem, we just go to Google, we type the question, and most cases, Stack Overflow always has the answer. You can go to Stack Overflow directly, StackOverflow.com, and you type your question, and it's going to give you an answer. But if you go to Google, the advantage of searching for your solution in Google is that if the answer is not on Stack Overflow, or you don't see an answer that satisfy your curiosity that way, the chances that you might see it in other sites like Code Project, C# Corner, Tutorial Point. All these are development sites that are helping people. So that's how we collaborate, in development world. So don't be, you don't need to memorize anything. I mean, Google. So even if you don't remember Overflow's address, at least you can remember Google's address. So just type your question there. Whatever it is, no matter maybe how to write my first program in C#, just say how to write my first program in C#. You can see there's nothing that you want to do that has not been done. So I just press enter. Please don't mind my internet connection, at least the idea is gotten. So it's going to give me my result now. Outside my first program, that's what I searched for. And you can search for something that is even more specific. You can see now. Visual Studio, create new project, Visual 7, go to this, go to this, go to this. If you are using something like Visual Studio Code, you can just put it there, Visual Studio Code. You can write VS Code or Visual Studio Code. So that you know it to the fact that you are looking for how to write your first program in Visual Studio Code. You can see, creating a .NET console application using Visual Studio Code. And I bet that if you click on this link, it's going to be very similar to what we did. Can you hear me? It says my internet is not stable, but...
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Yes, sir, very clear.
Okay, good. So, anyway, like my internet is not that stable, but that's just the point. I think you've gotten the point. So you can search Google and read it up, whatever it directs you. So before we move forward today, I would like to assist us in this has nothing to do with C#. What I'm going to talk about now, it has not much to do with C#, but instead it has more to do with the IDE. That is the integration visual, the development environment, which is the Visual Studio Code. What I want to talk about now has more to do with Visual Studio Code than the C# itself. So if you look at what we were doing yesterday, because I was just writing code carelessly, and you know, as I was writing code carelessly, I noticed that some people followed me carelessly too. It's not their fault; it's my fault, because there are a lot of assumptions that we normally have, which may be erroneous. For instance, if I write this in C#, if I write this in C#, will it work or not? It will work because C# doesn't understand space. There's something like space. So syntactically, it's the same thing as this. So yesterday I talked about collapsing the space, something like this, something like this, and I said it will work. The only problem here is that it is not that readable. It is not that readable. So if you mistakenly type something like this that is not readable, if you need to format it back to make it readable, you will be returning all these curly brackets here and there, formatting it by yourself, and the rest like that. So, and if I want to possibly, for instance, now create a variable, let's say I want to create a variable called integer A. I want to call it a variable A. I say integer A equals to 20. So if you do the same thing in your Visual Studio Code, you know, if you notice something about my own, when I declare it, it automatically aligns it with the others, right? It automatically aligns it with others. For example, if you type your own here, it will stay there. But when I type my own, it automatically aligns with the other. So it automatically formats my code to make my code readable. Even if I make a mistake in typing my code somewhere wrong, you know, the Visual Studio Code is going to help me to format it appropriately. So the Visual Studio Code is going to help me to format it appropriately. So if I do this now and I save, it automatically comes here. So now I want you to adjust your Visual Studio Code so that it can help you format your code so that whenever we are typing henceforth, you can see it in a human readable format automatically. So you know that this is how this code is, and it's not the other way around. So please go to, you can make adjustment to the Visual Studio settings by go to File, Preferences, Settings. Can you do that now? Go to File, Preferences, Settings, and click on it. If you have done it and you are seeing the same thing that I'm looking at, please type yes. Let me know that you have gotten to where I am. Okay. Anyone else? How many of us are even in this class? About 11. Anyone else who has done it? No. About Ibrahim. Is there any problem, Mubarak, or is that Ibrahim? Is there any problem why you can't do it? Can you let us know?
I'm following, sir.
Have you done it now? Just click on it. Preference settings. Settings. Ibrahim.
Yes, sir. We're following, sir.
Okay, you have done it. Okay, good. So you are here now. So click on text editor. Text editor. And click on formatting. Click on formatting. Text editor formatting. Are we all there? Text editor formatting. Are we all there? You can see the screen, yours like my whole. Okay, good. Mubarak. Anybody else? Or is there anybody who is having problem locating these windows on his own computer? Let us know so that we can move forward. Yes, Najib, that's the point. It is not ticked like my own. That's what I want you to do. If you look at what it says, format on paste, it controls whether the editor should automatically format the pasted content. So, like, if I paste the content on my own Windows, it automatically formats it because I checked format on paste. So you can check format on paste, format on save, and format on type. So check all those three boxes. Check all those three boxes. Format on save, format on paste, and format on type. Have you ticked them? If you have fixed them, let me know. Anybody else apart from HP? Okay. If you have fixed them, you can close the settings. When you close the settings, try and just type anything in your Visual Studio Code and save the file. You should see your file will be automatically formatted. If you want to confirm if it works, delete some space to bring the curly brackets together, and then you press Ctrl S to save your file and watch it adjusting itself. Save is in File Save, File Save, File Save, or you can type Ctrl S. Use Ctrl S in shortcut. At which point, Najib? Okay, CD card. At what point? So that I will take it from there. Okay, just come at the end of this curly bracket and press delete. It will delete the line and bring the next bracket up. Do the same thing for the second one. So after you do that, you can go to File, Save. Immediately, I click on Save, watch my screen to see what happens. Watch all those brackets that they will rearrange themselves. Immediately, I click on Save.
Yes.
Is your own too working like that? Somebody said yes. Is your own working like that too now? Mubarak, your own is not working. It's working now. Okay, have me right. CD code. Is it working now? CD code, what's the problem? You have not lost anything. Okay. We have a lot of people that theirs are not working. Okay. Have you said go back to File, Preferences, Settings. Moshood, HP, CD cards. Look at go back to File, Preferences, Settings. Go to Formatting and let me know if all those check boxes, if they are ticked. If you tick Format on Paste and you tick Format on Save and you tick Format on Type. Because are those three items, are they ticked? Let me know if they are ticked. Because they are ticked. Okay, if they are ticked, close your settings. Close your Visual Studio Code and open it back. Then try again now. Is it working? Let us know. I think you said they are ticked. Look at my screen. Format on page, format on save, format on type. There are check boxes under each of these headers. Ticked. See me, I'm on ticking my own. All these check boxes. Make sure that they are marked. Ticked like this. Ticked like this. You can see that they are marked. Format on save. You can see that they are marked. So make sure they are marked. Make sure they are ticked. Is that correct? Have you done it?
Yes, sir.
And it's working? Whose is not working? Can you let us know if your own is still not working? Open it back, HP.
So what are we waiting for?
We are waiting for everybody to make sure that their code works, that the Visual Studio Code can format their code as expected.
Okay, sir.
Critical. Is it working? Ibrahim Kayode.
Yes, sir. Sir, I actually checked everything, sir. And when I try to write something on my program area here, so it doesn't automatically align it to the ones I have there before. When I saved, I have to go to file and save again. So I was thinking it should automatically align it, but it's not aligning it again, sir.
But when you say, does it align it?
It does not, sir.
Is it possible for you to share your screen instead? So
Yes, sir.
I will quickly take it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me stop sharing my own. Share your screen. Let's look at your screen. Let's correct it, and we'll use it as a sample for others that may be having the same problem.
Okay, sir. I'm sharing now,
Okay,
sir.
good. Yes,
So this is
see
what
your
I
screen.
type. This console.writeline. I just type this. I am Ibrahim. So after saving it again, So I don't know. Is there a shortcut for save? Is Control S still working on
Control
this?
S.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Control
So
S works.
I just saved it
So
now.
hold on.
Yes, sir.
Just press, look at this program dot here. Look at the way
Okay.
it is. Just press the keyboard, maybe A or anything, or space.
Okay, I just press space now.
You see that there's interchange. There's something like white after the program dot here. It's an indicator that it is not saved yet after the last change. Press Control S and watch that dot goes off. Control S.
It's off
you see
now.
Exactly. So this is how you know that your code is either is dirty, that means it's not saved, or it is saved. I think you can learn something from that.
Okay.
So go to File.
Okay, I'm on file.
Preferences.
Yes, sir.
Settings. Formatting. Okay. There is format on page, format on save. Then scroll down. Format on type. It's okay. Close the settings again. Then close the Visual Studio Code itself. Close Visual Studio Code. Okay. Oh, did you?
I closed it.
Your
So
screen?
the screen sharing just went off. Should I
Okay,
open it
because
again?
you are showing. Yes, open the Visual Studio Code again. It's because you were sharing the windows only. That's why. So that's the window you were sharing and it has gone off. So share it back. Okay. Just go to anywhere and type space. And save. Control S.
Sir, not to waste much of our time, I guess there's a time you advised me to uninstall this very Visual Studio Code. Hello, sir.
I'm listening.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that can actually be the one that is hindering it to.
Hold on.
Okay,
Number
sir.
one. Delete. Hold on. Delete this first console. Delete the curly bracket after it.
Okay.
Save it again. Okay. So what happened? Okay. Now come to the last the line 13 and put a bracket back. Okay, save it. Control S.
Yes,
I think something is wrong. I think something is wrong with your Visual Studio Code.
Okay, sir.
Please go to the extension. Let me see your extension.
So how do I get that there?
You know that looks like broken block. The last icon, very close to program.cs.
Okay.
By your left. No, by your left. No, come to the left. Come down. The last program. Come down. Then go to the left. You see the icon that looks like a broken block?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the extension.
Okay, sir.
Click on it. Everything looks fine.
Okay, sir.
Everything looks fine. So the only problem I see here is that it's not recognizing it as a C#. It's not recognizing it as a C# code. And I want to find out why it's not recognizing it as a C# code. Just hold on, please.
Okay, sir.
Let me try and make the same mistake. I say mistake there. I want to make the same mistake on my. Okay. I think it will work eventually. Maybe okay. It's just trying to go to output on the standard page. Go to the output.
Okay.
Okay. Looking for Git. Git installation not found. These are not supposed to be a problem. Okay, let's just ignore it for now.
Okay,
It's
sir.
going to work eventually.
All right.
Maybe there are some settings that the guy is doing at the background that has not finished.
Okay,
And
sir.
it's going to work eventually.
All right. Thank you.
So don't worry yourself. But the whole idea is, I think, whose one is working? Is there anybody here that his one is working? No, I know.
Can I stop sharing, sir?
Hold on first.
Okay.
Because see your console is typed in small letter, which is a syntax error. It's a syntax error anyway.
Okay.
I intentionally did not talk about it originally because I wanted to do the same thing. The console is capital C. Put it as capital C. But that's not supposed to be the problem. So you can say it's not going to change anything. That's not supposed to be the problem. But that was another problem. Your code wouldn't have worked. Okay, can you go to terminal? Go to terminal quickly. So let's move on. Go to terminal. Dotnet build. Let's see if it's going to build. It will not build anyway. Because it won't build. It won't build. It doesn't recognize console. Go up there before namespace. Go up before namespace.
Okay.
You can put the cursor before namespace and press enter to bring down the namespace. Go up. No, okay. I think there's something up there. Go up, scroll up. Before namespace. No, scroll up. Within program. Line 1. There must be using system there.
Okay, sir.
Scroll up to line 1.
Yes.
Oh, okay, it's there. Everything is fine. Don't worry. It's just formatting, which is good. It will start working at
the build is success now. It's showing build success.
Yes. It's fine. Syntactically, it will work.
Okay.
We're only talking about formatting it in a way that
it will align. Okay.
You'll be able to recognize your code.
All right.
And it will align itself. You will see how it works. Syntactically, nothing is wrong with this code. It's only that it doesn't align itself. So it will always work. Even if you write everything on one line, it will work.
Okay, sir. So I shouldn't uninstall the
so
VS Code again,
that's
sir.
The idea. So that's forward. No, don't.
Okay, sir. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Just take note. You can manually format it by, for instance, put the cursor before the console right line on line 10.
Okay, sir.
Before C.
Line 10.
C. Yes, line 10.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Press tab twice. You know what the tab is?
Yes.
Again. Okay, fine. You can save it down. So it looks cool. It looks okay. So these are the kind of things that we want it to be done automatically for you so that you will not have to be wasting time formatting your code to make it look beautiful.
Okay, sir.
There are other packages that you can use to format your code, but we don't talk about them yet until we have to. Okay, you can stop sharing your screen now.
Thank you, sir.
Let's move forward. I'm about to share my own, so just give me. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. So Now let's go back to our data types and how to convert them from one type to another. HP, you cannot hear me. I think it has to do with your system. Is there any other person that cannot hear?
We can hear you, sir.
We hear you loud and clear.
HP, you will have to check your system, check the settings on your Zoom to see if you have not touched anything. Also check the volume of your PC to check if it is correctly configured. Okay, fine. So sorry, we have to move on, HP, but check your system. Oh, you can't even hear me, so sorry, I'm talking rubbish. HP, check your system. Everyone else can hear. Okay, fine. So we talked about the data types. We discussed that data type is like bucket. You know, you can use different type of buckets to store different kind of items. We made an example of using bucket to fetch water or oil, while you use cylinder to go and get gas, etc. So there are different types of data type in programming language, in the C# rather, in programming generally. You know, you store numeric number with some type of data, character and string, yes or no type of variable, you know, something like, does this thing exist or not? Has he accepted our end user license agreement or not? Things like that are yes or no answer, and they're stored by a data type that we call Boolean data type. So which is represented by bool, which is either it is true or it is false. So why do we have different type of data type? Why don't we just store everything as string? Why don't we just store everything as string? So why do we have different data types? We use one to store string, we use one to store whether it is true or false, we use another one to store character, we use another type to store money, we use another one to store a numeric value that is a whole, like integer and long, and we use other types to store values that are
Decimal.
that have decimals.
Yeah.
So why do we need all these types? Meanwhile, everything can be stored as string. So why don't we just use string? Because string is generally expensive. So you don't want to be, it's just like you build a house. Now, why do you designate a place as toilet? Why do we have a bedroom different? Why do you have a living room or sitting room different? Why do you have visitors room different, etc., etc.? Maybe it's just the same, you use blocks to demarcate a space. Why don't you just put a space? But typically, things that you want to put in a bedroom, maybe your cloth, maybe your bed, your phone, maybe a reading table, a place like you put the room, you want to put a chair or set of chairs, television, dining set, etc. In a place that you call toilet or bathroom, you want to put things that has to do with maybe zinc to wash your hands, bucket if you need one, shower, tap and the rest. So why are you doing this? Why don't you just open up the entire space and allow anybody to put anything anywhere? Maybe you are the owner of the house and you control everything. So why don't you just put anything anywhere? So the number one fact is that you don't have unlimited space. Your space is limited. and you want to maximize the space. So you don't want a situation whereby you are thinking of sleeping, you start scratching your head. If the whole house, bed would be anywhere, chair could be anywhere, toilet could be anywhere. So anytime you need any of these things, you start scratching your head. Oh, where do I find bed? Or where do I find zinc to wash my hands? Or where do I cook? You start scratching your head. Where do you think the rice is kept or the yam is kept? If you enter any house, let's say a 3-bedroom flat, for instance, now, and you're hungry, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, let me go to the kitchen. Maybe there will be food there. You don't say, I'm hungry. Let me go to the toilet. Maybe there is food there. And because you know the structure, so it's very clear to you where to go to. You don't go to the kitchen. You know where to check. If there is no food there, you know there is no food in the house. So by keeping everything well arranged, formalized, so it makes it faster for things to be done. You know when you are searching for anything, you know where to go. You know the type of item that you are expecting in a different compartment, and that is organization. So you can transfer the same thing to programming language. For instance, a long variable, what we call a long variable, can store a much more value of data up to exponential of 63 degrees. Excuse me, let me quickly look for something. C#. What happened now? My keyboard has refused, so no, it doesn't want to work again now. Okay. Integer maximum value in C#. So C# language, the integer type represents a 32-bit integer, 15 minus 2, 1, 4. Let me just put it here. Between minus 214, 483, 684, and 2147, 483, 647. So let's look for the value of long. Wow. Look at the value of long. You can see, let me do some kind of formatting here. You can see the value that the long, can store versus what integer can store. So if you are dealing with data like, 2, 3, 10, 20, 100, 1,000, it doesn't matter if you declare it as an integer or if you declare it as a long, you can store the data there. But where the problem comes is if you know that your data is going to grow. For instance, now I might declare a variable to say integer a equals to 2147, I mean 83647. And there's no problem. If I run this guy, it will run perfectly, conveniently. Now, let's assume this is a value. Maybe it is number of the user in my program. We have a program online that people are coming to register. So we declare the number of registered users as integer. So as the first person register, it increases by 1, it becomes 1. 0, it starts from 0, it's an integer. When first person registers, it becomes 1. Second person registers, it becomes 2. Third person registers, it becomes 3. It continues to grow until last we have 2,147,483,647 people have registered. Then another person registered. So we want to add 1 to it. We say A equals to A plus 1. What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen?
We have created.
Okay, maybe we made a mistake. Let's see the mistake. Okay. We're not supposed to be disturbing ourselves. We can find out some of these things from the code by ourselves by do console.writeLine. This we say maximum integer value equals to int dot max value, or rather we can say that our integer a equals to so okay, let's just write it as a. So let's run this. Do you see what happened?
Yes.
So what happened now?
It has added 1 to it.
It didn't add 1 to it. Did you see the answer down? We just add 1 to it instead of, okay, let me remove the dollar sign so that it can be clear. What happened? It's not an error, Ibrahim.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
actually seeing it that, sorry, sir. I'm actually seeing it as if it actually added 1 to the end of, as changing that 7 to 8. I don't know.
Instead of going to give me a value 147, 483, 647, or 648 individuals that registered on your site, then automatically it now became minus. What does that make you? A bad programmer. So therefore, when you are a 1-year-old baby, I want to feed him or her water, I will use bucket. Because I don't want to have problem of overflow. Overflow is like you take a small bucket to go and get water that is more than the volume of the bucket that you are taking. Then it overflows, right? That's the definition of overflow that all of us know. Am I right? So, but know that a typical bath or a drum is difficult to overflow. Anything they say, come and take water, you now take drum, you take it there. Does that make any sense? Okay. Ibrahim, can we please allow people to unmute themselves so that whenever they talk, because I want everybody to participate, but everybody's an adult, as soon as you finish talking, you mute yourself back so that it will not be echoing. Please. Can we do that so that people can talk? So whatever. So after you talk, then you mute yourself immediately so that we know that you have already talked. You know, doesn't it make sense to use bucket anywhere you go that you need to go and get water, you take bucket there because you know that your cup can overflow. Can somebody answer?
No.
Why is it no?
So that would be wasteful.
Exactly. It will be wasteful because you are going to be storing bucket for small data. You're going to be using big bucket. It's going to take space unnecessarily that it is not supposed to take. You can imagine now if we come to office and because all of us don't drink with the same cup, everybody now brings bucket to office. Where are we going to keep our bucket? You understand? So the space is not unlimited. So you have to determine appropriately what is appropriate for each scenario so that you can store appropriate data. So therefore, you can't declare everything as long. The same way you can't declare everything as integer. So you need to know the data that fits which data type. So that when you want to declare a variable, you think clearly and you use a data type that befits your variable appropriately. And that is what you define your data type as. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
For instance, now, if I'm writing a program that is asking people for their shoe size, I'm writing a program that is asking people for their shoe size. I wouldn't say long because I know that's a total waste of space. Because if you declare it as a long, system is going to reserve, computer memory will reserve that space. The space that can contain the maximum long value is going to be reserved for that variable in memory. So if you have a memory, let's say, of 2 megabytes, for instance, and you divide a variable as long, and that variable is in memory when that program is running. If that variable is, let's say, 100 kilobytes, is what a long variable takes. It will automatically chop that 100 kilobytes and reserve it for your long. So if you declare 200 of source variables, then you just see that your system is dragging, or your phone is dragging, or it will crash because the memory has been used up. So therefore, you must use appropriate data type when you are declaring a variable. You don't use a data type that is just big for nothing if you don't need it. Otherwise, your program will be consuming the resources of your client and you'll be tagged a bad owner and nobody wants to use your program. So, having said this, now you see what I did in order to get the maximum value of integer, and you can use it to get the maximum value of long. You know, other variables too, like decimal, float, and the rest. So you can try it on your own as an assignment, you know, find out what I can store in this type of variables. Other types that we have types in C#, we have byte, or we have S byte, we have short, which is lower than integer, we have integer, we have long, we have unassigned integer, we have unassigned short integer, and we have unassigned long. You know, all these data types, they have their advantages and disadvantages. For instance, unassigned long, which we define as U long. Let's find out the difference between unassigned long and long. Let me say, maximum, okay, let's say unassigned, unassigned integer, which we define as U long. This is unassigned integer. With unassigned integer, we define U long or U long. Let's look for the minimum value, which is going to be represented by U long, minimum value. Minimum value. Let's do the maximum. So let's do the same thing for signed integer or integer. Let's do the same thing for signed integer that we call integer. We have been using it all this while. Integer. Let's do the same thing for long. Which is long. Okay, I think this is fine. We can stop here. So let's find out what is this was. Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me, please? So now, can somebody tell me the differences between all these variables from what you see there? What are the differences between these variables? Unmute your mic and just say what you observe from these variables. Then everybody, so that we can move on quickly. Okay. If you observe, I think, can you hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me so that before I continue. Okay. Okay, good. If you observe, find integer, they start from negative and they end up in positive. Either integer or long, as far as they are signed integer, they start with negative and end up in positive. But unsigned, not unassigned, rather, is unsigned. Unsigned integer, it starts from 0 and end up with a very big number positive. Actually, they occupy the same size as one. The network is not okay. Is it your network or my network? Can every other person hear me so we know whether it's my network or his network? If you can hear me clearly, please say yes. Otherwise, say no. Okay, Azan, I think it's your network. You may have to check your provider against next time. Maybe you change your provider. Okay. If you look at the difference between signed variables, signed integer, and unsigned integer, they actually have the same size, except that one starts from minus and ends in positive. Other one starts from 0 and ends in positive. If you look at it clearly, you see that the one that starts from minus 214 and ends with 2147. If you look at the number of steps, it's just like when you start from minus 1 and you end with plus 1. How many steps is that? From minus 1 to 0, then from 0 to 1. That's how many steps. Somebody tell me how many steps. From minus 1 to 1 is how many steps? type it. -1 to 1 is how many steps? Remember, you go from -1, you get to 0, 0, you now get to +1. That's 2 steps. From -1 to 0, then 0 to +1, that's 2 steps. Right? So from 0 to 2 is how many steps? From 0 to 2 is how many steps? It's the same 2 steps.
That's 3
It's
steps.
the same 2. It's 2. You have to move from 0 to 1, then from 1 to 2. 0 to 2 is 2 steps. And -1 to +1 is also 2 steps. So you can now see that -2147483648 to +2147483647 is the same step with 4294967295. It's basically the same step. The only difference is one starts from minus and head up halfway. The other one starts from 0 and head up long way. So the moral of this is that if you know that you are not expecting a negative value of your variable, if you are not expecting negative value of your variable, unsigned integer will pay better than signed integer. But if you are expecting that your variable can have a negative value, it's better you use a signed integer. Is that okay? So I'm going to send you a URL. Mubarak, Y3. Can you talk, Mubarak? Y3. Can you hear me, Mubarak? Okay, fine. So now, on your own, you can do more research on data types, on C# data types. Go online, read about it, and give you a URL you can follow up on data types. So it talks about, you can read that one up this next week. It talks about different data types and what are their limitations. So what are their storage size in bits and the range of data that they can hold. Please read it up so that it will assist you when you are declaring your variable in the future. I'm going to post the same thing. I'm going to post the same thing on our WhatsApp group so that you can follow it up. Let me post it on our WhatsApp group. Okay. I think we need to move on from data type now. So now let's talk about typecasting again. That's how we started from. Let's talk about it again. Almost all data types are casted, except for few ones. So if you look at all this data, I explained the casting, explicit casting yesterday, because there is every chance, that in order to either optimize your code, or sometimes you have to convert the data from one side to another. You know, it's possible, for instance, you know, you are getting the data from a source, and that data is coming in one form, but when it gets to you, you want to convert it to another form. So that is data casting. For instance, you might be getting data from an organization, from your program, that is returning a date, maybe date of birth, is returning it to you in form of a string. But when it gets to you, you want to convert it back to date, or it's giving you in form of string. When it gets to you, you want to convert it to numeric value like decimal, or like integer, or like long. So this is where data type casting exists. In order to cast a data, you declare the type you want to cast to, and use the type class to cast from string to that data type. If you look at the way we did long and decimal, A2, A3, from our code above. So what we did is that we are converting 40, which is a valid data for 40, we are converting it to decimal, and to long, and to integer. We could do the same thing for date. If it's going to be a valid date, let's say for instance, we've converted A1 to integer. Let's write the value so that we know that we are doing what is right. A1. I hope you are not listening to music on the run. I'm going to comment this out because we are done talking about it. Is that okay? So I'm going to run this. Before I run it, I want to clear my screen. I can use CLS to clear my screen. Then I want to run it. So I converted 40 to integer A1, it gives me 40 back. I converted it to long and decimal, and everything is fine. I can go ahead here. I can pass this. Let me see what will happen. So you can see now. Now let me do the same thing. So you can see now decimal. Okay, let me pass. Sorry, the last one I want to do. If I pass 4.555, or let's just say 4.5, if I pass it as integer, what am I supposed to get? Can someone tell me what I'm supposed to get? Anyone, please? I'm listening, please. Anyone? Even if it is wrong, just tell me what you think is going to, what do you think will be the answer? I'm talking this particular line. I'm passing 40.55. It has two decimal places. I am passing it to integer. What do you think my result will be? Please, that's like an hour. So let's be, we are still on data type. It's tricky. I want us to get to a comfortable level before we move forward. Because whatever we're going to be doing, we have to deal a lot with data type eventually. Anybody want to try? It doesn't have to be correct. Just tell me what you think it will be and why do you think it will be. Can you guys hear me? Nobody's talking. Am I talking to myself?
No, we're hearing you, sir.
Okay. Can somebody try? What would be my value? What do I expect A5 to be if I run this code? Let me comment the others so that you have an idea what. Okay, somebody says 40. Nice one. Any other person? Yes, because it is declared integer. Nabi Salahuddin, you are not correct. You are not correct because integer cannot store decimal place. So 40, 40, 40. Anybody else?
So I think it's 40.
Okay.
And my reason is because integer is a whole number. And 40 is the nearest number to that 40.55.
Okay. Do we all agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. My people used to say, now where there is no land, will argue for, what happened? Do we get the answer?
Salaam alaikum, sir. Yeah, it will crash because the 40.5 is declared as string.
Not because it is declared as string, because it's not a valid value for integer. The same problem we had yesterday when we tried to convert FORT0 to integer.
Okay.
We're trying to convert, we had this problem yesterday, right?
String. Yes. Yes. I think, Salaam alaikum, sir. Yes, I think we have to add to string after that pass so that it can take it for explicitly casting.
Hold on, please. So, sorry, what did you say? We need to add what?
I said we need to have to string, that is to convert it to string.
It's already string. We don't need to convert to anything. It's already string.
So but we declare it as an integer.
It's
Now,
already string. We don't need to convert it to anything. We declare as an integer. See, there is an input. This is string. This takes string as an input. We could have defined, I explained yesterday, we could have defined this somewhere else as string. Let me do this. String. Input is that you're passing this string, you are sending it to this formula, which is integer.pass, which takes string as an input. It takes string as an input and it returns integer. If we put 40 there, or if we remove this dot and run it, it's going to give us 4055. Because it's a integer value. 4055 is a valid integer value. Unfortunately, 40.55 is not a valid integer value. That is why it crashed. I'm returning it back as 40.55. What will happen? It will crash. input string was not in a correct format. Do you understand now?
Okay,
Yes, sir.
sir. Okay, sir.
But let me
Yes.
let me do a magic. Let me do a magic. Sorry, I wanted to do Control S. What do you think will happen here?
It will run
Why?
because A. Oh, it won't because A is a character. It's not a string.
It's not a string. Okay. What of B?
The
It's
same
a
thing, sir.
character as well.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
A letter is a character.
Okay. Anyway, don't let us dwell much on this. Sometimes the story here is that you need to be very sure of what you are converting, and you need to be sure of the kind of number that you are expecting and the way to go about it. There are some values that can be converted from one form to another. There are some values that cannot be converted from one form into another. However, in order to avoid all this, there is a function that we call try pass. Try pass. What we did now is pass. And what happens when we type any jargon and tell the system to help us pass it, it crashes the system. It throws an exception. Because we do not handle the exception, therefore, our system crashes. Because this sample has stopped working. I think it's a familiar information if you agree with me. This is something that you see regularly when the programming crashes on your machine, right? Have you seen animation like this before? Can somebody answer? Let us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've been seeing this.
Okay. So now, there is an option. We can do this. Integer A5. So, what will happen if you run this? Can somebody tell me what will happen if you run this? Anyway, not to waste your time because of it's already 7 o'clock, our time is going. It won't crash, but it's going to give you the default value of integer, which is 0. So let me run it again to avoid confusion from what we have. Value of A equals to 0. So what happened here is when we do try pass, it doesn't really succeed. It doesn't give us what we intend to have, but it doesn't crash our system. We try to convert 40.55 to integer, it gives us 0. Am I communicating?
Yeah, so but why
Yes,
is
sir.
40.55 giving us 0 when we try converting?
Because it's not convertible to integer.
Then what would have been the appropriate way, sir?
To do what? To convert it to
To do
integer.
the conversion. Yes,
We
sir.
do explicit conversion. This is a decimal value. You can convert to decimal or float, and you can convert that decimal or float to maybe integer. For instance, now, if I convert this to decimal, let me do here. You can do a shorthand for. You know, I declare this as integer A5, right? But look at this line. It says long A2 equals to 3. So which is the one line which I've been using before. I only remove it from one line when somebody complains, right? So you can also do some time for this one and say out integer A5. So it's as good as you have declared it as integer A5 and it's at the top, and now do this down. So what I saying with integer try pass, help me attempt to convert this value, which is 40.55, which I can put here also to make it only one line. 40.55. So I don't need it anymore. I hope it's not becoming too complex. So if I run this, it's going to be exactly the same thing. So now I can convert this to a float. I convert this to a float. So if we do it as float, so what are we going to get? We're going to get our 40.55, right? Right?
Yes, sir.
Is this okay? Okay. Now, let's assume I just want an integer value. Let's assume I just want an integer value of this. And somebody tell me exactly what I've done here.
So come again.
Tell me what I've done here. I just converted this A5 to integer. By looking, you see what I've done is I've converted this 40.55 to float. Or rather, let's forget about trying to convert. Let's declare this guy as float. Let's declare this guy as float. A5 equals to 40.55. So let's write the value here. Let me clear the screen. So now what do we expect here? 40.55. Good like this. Now I want to convert this float to integer. I want to convert to integer A1. This is where to convert it now. So now that's your answer that you gave originally. This is where it works. So instead of using try pass, when I'm converting the float to integer, I'm just going to explicitly convert float to integer by putting it in integer in bracket before that value. So what will be the value of A1 now? It's going to give me 40. Is it clear? Difficult. Yes. Any other question? Is it clear?
Sir, I'm seeing value of A is 40.55. The other one is 40.40.
Because we are using the same thing. So this is A5 really. This is A1.
Okay. Okay. It's okay, sir.
Okay. Are we fine? Anyway, the whole idea is for us to be very careful when we are doing conversion. We need to be mindful of the kind of data that we are converting, and we need to be very accurate in what we are expecting when we are converting. Because at runtime, if you try to convert what is not convertible, your program will crash. At runtime, if you are converting what is convertible and you don't know what you are expecting, when you convert it, your program may not crash, but you may get unexpected answer. For instance, now, if somebody sends to you 40,000 and 40.55 kobo in his bank account, and you not explicitly convert it to integer, it becomes 40 naira. And you now use 40 naira to do whatever you want to do, and you send the statement to the person that your account balance is 40 naira. They can sue you that you are stealing their money. That you start hearing things like, a bank customer, has been stealing 1 kobo or 20 kobo from customer all these years. They didn't know, stuff like that. This is how it happens. Some of those stealing is intentional. Some of those stealing is not intentional. But you need to be very sure of what you are doing. You need to know the reason why you are doing what you are doing. Because if you start doing an operation on money and you start, throw away people's money, even if it's a fraction, and years later, they get to know about it, you can imagine if you take 50 kobo from 1 million customers, that's 500,000 naira. It is going to be regarded as fraud. So that's why you need to understand your data type perfectly as a developer. So I think we can move forward from that. So you can read about C# data types, the rest of it, the Boolean value, the float, the decimal. At what time do you use each one, and what do you do with it? Do we all agree that we can continue? So we talked about operations the last time, and I think we are good with it, except that we just need to perform 1 or 2 operations so that we have a live example of what it is. Very soon we write a good program. Whether we're going to have a problem with it and move forward and correct ourselves, but we need to understand some of these basic things before we start writing a program that does anything. By the time we finish this week, next week, and the week after, we are going to write a good program. We start with something that is meaningful. But all these things that we are doing, they have to be used in that real program that we are going to write. That is why it is important for us to understand all these concepts before we start. Because I know that some of you have been expecting that, let's do something like web application, at least I file for a page, welcome to my site, stuff like that. But if you do not understand the concept very well, you won't be able to move forward from wherever we stop. We just jump into either writing a mobile application now, or web, or Windows. So let's get the real concept, the fundamentals, before we start doing that. So the next thing we are going to talk about now is mathematical operations. So let's assume you want to, you have 2 numbers, and you need to sum them together, or you need to remove one from the other, or you need to multiply it. How do you do that? There are symbols or signs that can be used to perform all these operations in C#. So there are operators generally in C#. It is not all operators that are arithmetic operators. We have arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators can be said as the operators that we use to perform arithmetic operations with numeric variables. We know what a numeric variable is. integer, float, decimal, long, etc. These are numeric variables. You can add them together. You can subtract one from the other. You can subtract one from another. You can multiply them, and divide them. Those are numeric variables. So, and you can use arithmetic operations to do so. Then we have comparison operators. We have comparison operators. I think I can just type it in our. I think I type it in our. I think if you have access to your WhatsApp now, can you say yes? Let me know if you have access to your WhatsApp. Okay, fine. We have arithmetic operators. We have logic operators. We have equality operators. We have comparison operators. And we have bitwise operators. Arithmetic, logic, equality, comparison, bitwise. I think there's 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Those are the kind of operations that we have in a C#. So we are going to talk briefly about arithmetic operators. We are going to talk briefly about maybe comparison and comparison and logic operators, Boolean logical operators. They are kind of similar. They are kind of similar. So let's talk about arithmetic operators. The arithmetic operator is, you want to possibly do a mathematical operation on 2 or more numbers. For instance, you might declare a variable as, okay, let me just put arithmetic operation. Let me declare a variable as A, B, and C. Then I can set A to 2, B to 3, and I say C equals to A plus B. So what do we think my value of C will be? Let me comment out this. What do you think my value of C will be?
5.
5. Any objection? Any objection? It's going to be 5, obviously. We are adding 2 and 3 together. What is a multiplication? So we use plus for addition. We use plus for addition. Let me just quickly add that. We use plus for addition. We use this for multiplication. We use this for division. Who else knows what we use for arithmetic operators?
Like
Anybody?
exponential, that's correct sign.
Correct sign is exponential. Who doesn't know correct sign? This is expo. So what else?
Greater than, less than.
That's not mathematical operator.
Logical. Yeah, we take first order.
Any other thing? There's something we call modular. Which is like a remainder. You know, when you divide or you find how many times 2 goes in 4, how many of it remaining, etc. So you can read more about arithmetic operators yourself. We have something like math.square root or math.square. You know, all those ones like math.square root. Who knows what the square root is and who knows what not the square root is? Anybody? What is the square root? Let's people, you did math now. Someone tell me what is the square root?
Like double of the number, sir.
Yeah, a square root is a number that when multiplied by itself will give you the given number. Like you have 16, the square root will be 4. And that 4 times 4 is 16.
Good. So you can do square root, you can do square, you can do, so if I run this, what am I supposed to get? If I run it, what am I supposed to get?
Two.
16.
2.
You're going to get 16.
No, you're going to get 2.
That's
2.
a square.
Square root, not square. Square root.
That's square root.
That is 2 now.
Yeah, that will be 2.
Oh, sorry, 2.
This is square root, it's not square. If you want to do square, you can just do 4 by 4 yourself using multiplication sign. Right?
Understood.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about what's the next one. Let's talk about
Division.
I think we can talk. No, we have done division now. We don't need to dwell much.
Modulus, the modulus type. Let's everybody understand the modulus. How it's done.
Okay. What we don't want to go into mathematics. It's just like if you know what you're using modulus for, that is fine that you used to do it. But then let me just show you an example. When you find out how many times
That's 2.
2.5.
Remainder 1.
what does it remain?
1. It remains 1.
Remains 1. So
That's them.
now when you find the 5 modulus of 2, so that is what you get.
To get 1 with that.
Understood.
ọjọ́ mo ti fẹ́ kọjá ní mọ́ṣọ̀pù ẹni ìbọn máa bá ẹni sẹ́ni mo sẹ́ni nọ́mbà mi sí láì mi ìrísẹ̀ báwo alfa báwo ni ìjọba wọn bá mi kọ́ mo ní báwo nọ́mbà yẹn kí n àpè yìí.
Hello? Please, if you're not talking, especially if you're in a noisy area.
Hello.
Hello.
With you, sir.
If you are in
We
a,
are with you, sir.
if you are in a noisy, okay. If you are in a noisy area, especially immediately after you talk, you can mute your mic. You know, I want us to be free so that we can each contribute and participate. If the administrator has to mute us every time, the class will not flow as it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a very interactive class. You know, when we're talking to each other, we move quickly and we can understand where problems, are coming from each individual. So, as regards arithmetic operation, you can, on your own, you can, try and perform some gymnastics, declare some variables, add them together, subtract them, multiply them, divide them, and if you run into any problem, you must do all those things before the next class. If you run into any problem, chat me up. We're going to resolve it together. That's how to learn programming. Everything I'm doing for you in class, if you just watch me doing it, you can never know it. The only way you can know programming is by doing it yourself. I only have to point you in the right direction. So we just talked about arithmetic. What is the next one that we should talk? I think, we may not discuss everything, but which one should we talk again? Somebody pick one.
Logic, sir.
You said?
Logic.
Okay, let's talk about logic operation, which is the same time it's called. I think it's called Boolean logical operators. It's called Boolean logical operators. Sometimes not Boolean logical operators. We have about 3 or so Boolean logical operators. We had binary AND, which is a conditional logical AND, logic. Okay, let's call it as this Boolean logical operators. So we have binary AND. Or they call it logical AND. Logical AND is, when you are trying to, who did logic here? Does anybody did logic? Did anybody did logic in school? Logic. When you are creating a truth table, you are trying to find out if a statement is right or wrong, or if it is true or false. Somebody is talking?
Yes, I did logic in the school, sir.
Okay. So you said a statement like Ade is a boy and Ade is a human being. Is it true or false?
True.
If Ade is truly a boy and Ade is a human being. But can we say something like Ade is a boy and Ade is a girl?
No.
False.
Exactly. So for the logical AND operator to be true, both information must be true, right? Hello?
Sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're with you, sir. It's true.
So for the logical operator to be true, both information must be true. Let me do an example. Let's say, okay, another thing I would like you to add at this point, because when we are declaring variables, we have been using explicit declaration of variable, which to a C# developer is a waste of time. You know, the way we have been declaring variable all this while, we will just say integer a equals to 2. String, say integer a equals to 2. String